Welcome to the Hockey Podcast. I am Luke Lipinski.
And I am Doug Cannon.
This week's show, we look at Tomas Hurtl's amazing start, the untimely return of Sergei Fedorov, and the panic room known as Philadelphia.
Jersey, who's got the jersey? No one. We will take a look at this year's Olympic jerseys. Oh, so true.
Canadian fashion sense. All that and more. Let's drop the puck on episode 20. Hey, Luke Lipinski here alongside Doug Cannon.
How are you, Luke?
I'm doing good. I'm excited. It's hockey season. We're rolling.
It's been a hockey season. Been a big hockey weekend for me.
Yeah, you just drove back from hockey to talk hockey.
I drove back from hockey to talk hockey, and of course I was only coaching Bantam hockey, not the prettiest hockey you'd want to watch, but it's hockey nonetheless. I was in a rink, overcoat, shirt and tie.
Wow, shirt and tie.
Oh, yeah.
Classy.
And we do it classy, yeah. Somebody saw me Saturday morning at the rink, and they're going, "What's with the shirt and tie?" I said, "I got a game." They go, "You guys wear shirt and tie?"
I love that about hockey.
And I said, "Oh, yeah, man. We're all about respecting the game."
Can you imagine Bill Belichick wearing a shirt and tie on the sidelines of a Patriots game?
I think it's so disrespectful. I really do.
He's closer to actually wearing just a barrel with, like, suspenders.
I mean, at least khaki pants and a polo,
Something.
right? But something. But, yeah, no, we wear all the coaches in our association wear shirt and tie, and then I have an overcoat to keep me warm. Because just a suit on the bench is not enough.
No, that won't work.
But anyways, yeah, it's hockey. I love it.
So you coached hockey, you're ready to talk hockey. I just talked hockey, and now I'm ready to talk more hockey. And then
Perfect.
tomorrow we have hockey.
And then tomorrow we have hockey.
So that's the way it is this time of year. It's just why it's the best time of year. I think to start the show, we have to focus on San Jose. It was kind of the center of the hockey universe over the last week or so.
Well, yeah. When did it start? Thursday night of last week?
Let's see. It was
Because we were talking about it Friday.
We were talking about Tomas Hurtl last show, actually.
Last show,
you and I
yes,
brought him up.
yes.
But he hadn't gone off for 4 goals in a game. I don't know what's up with the Rangers. The 4th goal, I don't know where you rank this, but just in terms of pure skill and the guts to pull it off in a game, not in a shootout even.
No.
One of the best goals I've ever seen.
So was he showboating?
I don't know. I don't care if he was.
I don't care either, because now it goes back to a year ago when Yakupov did his little celebration and everybody had a cow.
Back when he still scored?
Yeah, back when he scored. He's not doing much scoring.
No.
Or celebrating.
Or playing.
Yes.
At this point. Yeah, okay, here's my thing with the Hurtl celebration, and we'll get into this. I know everybody kind of flipped out over it. It wasn't his celebration. So to me, it's more of a showboating act if you score the goal and then you run around showing up the other team. This was actually a play he made to put the puck in the net.
Right.
So to me, if you don't like it, stop it. It's very simple. Stop him from scoring.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of those plays also, though. If you're a coach, if he messes up, it's like, why didn't you just shoot the puck, right?
Well, and Todd McClellan sat him for the rest of that game.
Right.
Now, I don't know if it's because he was afraid he was going to get his head taken off by an angry Ranger, which is entirely possible. It was 9-2.
Yes.
So, look, I don't know that it's something he's going to do again. I understand if you're a player on the Rangers, why you're a little bit like, all right, look, we're down by 7. You really have to do that.
But it was fun.
It's good for the game.
It's great. It was entertaining. The best part was the look on Joe Thornton's face.
Yeah, that's what I said, too. He just turns around like, what just happened?
Was that real? Speaking of Joe Thornton.
Oh, well. He did all the speaking he had to do on his – the last thing about that goal.
Okay.
It's always good when a goalie – when the puck's in the net and the goalie's looking down and then up and then to his left, and he just has no idea where it is. And Marty Biron was lost. And I don't blame him. I don't think there's a goalie alive that could stop that shot. I mean, That's the best thing about that shot is it's a great shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe Thornton's reaction when Hurtl scores the 4th goal it's just pure, like, joy.
Right.
His comments in the locker room a couple of days later, not necessarily pure joy.
Well, I think that what Joe said in the locker room, and there's a lot of controversy, and I'm not going to repeat what he said because it's just that part of the story for me is done. My part of the story is that Joe said it in the locker room to other players in the locker room and was not being interviewed by media. Yet a media member in the locker room decided that they would publish his comments.
Yeah. That's a little... Look, you and I have both been in hockey locker rooms, professional hockey locker rooms. There's just an unwritten rule that some stuff doesn't need to come out.
Unless you're interviewing that player and he gives you a direct quote, what's said in that room stays in that room.
Especially because them releasing that quote was clearly sort of an attack on Thornton.
Attack on Thornton, wanting to stir it up. The thing that bothers me, it happened in Canada.
Yeah, well.
Okay, and the Canadian press, they're very vocal and very proud, and they pound their chest. We know hockey, nobody else knows hockey, and we know the rules of hockey, and we know how the game's supposed to be played. Well, if you know all those things, then you know the unwritten rules of a locker room. And as a media member, and I don't care if it's hockey, I don't care if it's auto racing, I don't care if it's football, baseball, basketball, locker room is the player's room. Stuff in that room is unless the player gives you a direct quote to your face, it doesn't get published.
Yeah, it is kind of selective. We know all the unwritten rules and the ins and outs of hockey, but we're not going to adhere to this one because this will get us to get extra clicks on our website.
Yeah, we want to use this one, so we're just going to forget about all the rules. Now, I heard the Sharks were thinking of closing their locker room and not letting the media in.
Yeah, same with one person ruins it for everybody.
Well, that's right. And I mean, unless you guys are going to do it right, then that's what's going to happen. I mean, the league will never let that happen. What'll happen is that individual that did what they did won't get credentialed.
Yeah, but this is also how you get to the point where Joe Thornton either doesn't talk to the media, or he has to talk but he gives one-word answers, or he becomes that guy who just gives we got to give 110% and go all out, and he's just like a robot.
It's funny you mention that because I've been in that situation, and it didn't happen to me directly. I saw it happen to another media member in a locker room where he went to an athlete, posed a question, and the athlete looked at him and said, "Dude, I'm not answering any of your questions. I heard what you said about me on the air, and none of it's true, so you and I are done."
There's so much that has to be trust between a player and a reporter. I mean, on a side tangent here, I used to cover the Suns when Shaquille O'Neal was in town.
Mm-hmm.
And he was always great to the media, but if there was national media and all the big stations were there, his answers were very just kind of by the book. If it was just local media, he would just have fun. I mean, he would just tell us all kinds of stories and whatever, and he would just have a good time with it.
Right.
And this is a little different because there could be animosity here. There was never that with Shaq, but for a guy like Thornton, if he's going to look around and see there's a bunch of people here, I have to watch what I say.
Well, and you're right. It ruins it for the rest of the media now because now he's going to be guarded, and he's going, yeah, got to give 110.
Yeah,
backs against the wall. We're going to hear all the cliches.
It
right?
is what it is.
It is what it is. I tried my hardest.
Let me put this out to you. Two things. One, this just shows how hard it is to score 4 goals in an NHL game, and it makes it that much more ridiculous that Tomas Hurtl just did it at 19 years old in his third game. Mm-hmm. Joe Thornton's never done it. Joe Thornton is in awe of it, and this is a guy that's, at least statistically on his way to the Hall of Fame, I have to think.
I would think so.
Second thing, though, wanted to get your thoughts on this. How much is this Thornton, as the captain, trying to deflect attention away from his 19-year-old rookie on his team? Because whether he tried to do it or not, all the attention was on Thornton after that quote.
Why would he do that?
Because people were all over Hurtl, as if he was showboating and he wasn't respecting the game.
Okay. And maybe, but I mean, his comments were pretty.
Well,
his comments were locker room comments.
That's true.
What he said did not surprise me. I've been in many locker rooms, and I've heard worse.
Yeah.
So what he said, it was just locker room banter. I mean, I have to tell my boys when they come home from the rink.
This isn't the locker room.
Your sister's in the room.
Yeah.
Your mother's in the room. Locker room.
The dog's in the room.
Locker room stuff stays out of the house.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just locker room banter.
It is a different world.
It is a totally different world, and it's to be respected.
And they didn't, and it'll be interesting to see what happens now with Thornton and that team, which I don't know if the Sharks are going to lose a game for a while. I mean, they are absolutely rolling.
Yeah.
And you look at the fact that they add Hurtl to that team, and, you and I were talking about this off the air, too. He's not going to score 4 goals a game all season, obviously. He may not score 4 goals ever again in his career, but he's got size, and he's got hands, and he's on a line with Joe Thornton. I mean, he's got to be the front runner for Rookie of the Year, right?
Right now he is. Absolutely.
I don't see his production dropping off that much.
And he's not on my fantasy team. Upsets me.
He isn't. And there's been a lot of good rookies this year.
A lot of good rookies.
You don't have any of them.
No, I have all the defensemen in the league. I had every single defenseman in the league.
It's the year of the defenseman. All right, well, Well, let's transition from one of the highs of the week to one of the lows of the week.
Yeah, a completely 180 opposite team.
We briefly mentioned Philadelphia as we were wrapping up the show last week.
Yes, we did.
You asked me about Edmonton. I gave you a 5-minute answer on how Philadelphia is bad. As it turns out, I'm just psychic, apparently. Because within 24 hours, Peter Laviolette was out.
After 3 games.
Yeah.
You know what blew me away about that?
That they waited.
Was their GM's comments.
No, I tried not to listen too much when Holmgren talks anymore.
He's at the microphone and he's going, well, I was not feeling good during the preseason and I was seeing things I didn't like. And I'm like, okay, so why didn't you address it then?
Exactly. Everybody got all over the Flyers for, you got to give them more than 3 games. And what are you doing? It's only been 3 games. And there's certainly something to that. There's only so much he can do if Claude Giroux isn't Claude Giroux anymore. And, all these different things are going on and they're working in 2 new goalies.
Okay, and let's throw out the stat right now. As of today, Paul Bissonnette of the Phoenix Coyotes has more points than Claude Giroux.
Yeah. Well, they might be even. I think they're even now. I think Giroux got one.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah.
Okay, so now they're even.
But one of them is not being paid to score goals. And one of them was called.
One of them is being paid to score a lot of goals.
Laviolette called Claude Giroux 15 months ago the greatest hockey player in the world. Now, I'm assuming he was just sticking up for his player, who was not the greatest, nor was he ever the greatest hockey player in the world.
Who got injured.
But, that's just part of Philadelphia's problem. But look, so you can take that angle and you can say, why are you firing him so early? But I'm more with you. If you weren't going to keep him, then why did you even wait through training camp?
Yeah, I just don't get that.
I think Peter Laviolette's a good coach. He'll catch on somewhere else. He'll be fine.
But you put I'm going to butcher his name.
Craig Berube.
Berube. You put him on the bench. Nothing against him as a coach, but now he's got to teach his system, his ideology, his philosophy to the players while the season's going on. He didn't have a preseason to run drills of how he likes to forecheck, how he likes to backcheck, how he likes to set up his power play. He never had that opportunity. He's got to do that as the season's going on. So I just say it's like, yeah, why didn't you do it sooner? Why did you wait for 3 games into the season? He even said in the press conference that the tail end of last season he was seeing things he didn't like. So now you're going from last season into the preseason and you're seeing things you don't like and you wait till 3 games into the season.
I don't get it
I
at
didn't
any
get
level.
it.
And you can make case last year was a 48-game season. It was weird. I've always said I thought it was Philadelphia was one of the teams that affected the most because they never had a chance to bounce back after a slow start. But, they're doing it again now. They are 1-5 as we record this.
Yes.
With 8 goals in 6 games.
I was looking at it as you said it, and I'm like, they got 2 points.
So much offensive talent on that team. I think there's offensive. Maybe it wasn't Ilya Brzgalov after all. For
well, and the funny part was when we broke down the our preseason stuff, our previews, we thought the Metropolitan was going to be one of the tougher divisions. Maybe half of it is.
I still think it will be. But boy, I tell you, the
right
Rangers,
now it's not.
We'll get into the more disappointing teams, and I know it's still early, but at the same time, you can't get off to a terrible start in the NHL today.
Well, Philadelphia, we're going to do it later in the show, but Philadelphia and a couple of other teams in that division are like, what the heck? WTF.
I'm looking at the division right now. And again, we're recording this Sunday night. There's 8 teams in the division. I'm just looking at the streak down the side. Lost 2, lost 1, lost 2, lost 5, lost 3, lost 3. Everybody's on a losing streak except Pittsburgh's on a 1-game winning streak. And they just lost to Florida before that.
Right.
So there you go.
Yeah.
You're tuned into the Hockey Podcast. Follow us on Twitter @HockeyPodcast for even more hockey news.
#do it.
Olympic hockey starts in 4 months, give or take. Roughly 4 months.
February, right?
Yeah. I always enjoy the Olympics every 4 years. The Winter Olympics are clearly better than the Summer Olympics. I won't even debate this with you.
Nope, there's no debate.
Even before it was NHL players, loved it. Even without the hockey, I love the Winter Olympics.
I used to love the Olympics when there was no professional players.
Well, that's a whole different debate for
yes, I know for a different
for
day,
February.
But it's out there. I put it out there.
Okay, that's a preview of February's podcast. It's foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
That's what
okay.
that is. So it's great. How can you not be happy about the upcoming Olympics? Hockey's in there. Alex Ovechkin's already fired up. He's been fired up for 2 years. Russia's excited, but there's also going to be a lot of pressure on that team. Canada is loaded up front. The U.S. has great goaltending. Sweden's always tough. And then the jerseys came out.
So where's the but? There it is. The jerseys for the teams came out.
So I only have pictures of the Czech Republic, and they get a pass here. We're not even going to deal with them.
Nope.
Russia, U.S., and Canadian hockey jerseys all put out.
Team USA.
You're going to start with Team USA?
Yeah, let's start there.
Okay. Well, why don't we give your thoughts first? Because I think your thoughts, especially on Team USA, are a little stronger than mine. I'll give you this. The logo kind of looks like it should be on the side of like a can of green beans.
The logo looks like a K-Swiss logo.
It does, which is odd because these are Nike jerseys, but it really does look like a K-Swiss logo.
It does, and they look like soccer jerseys.
They do. You know what? What order did you see them in? What was the first one you saw?
The first one I saw was the blue one.
No, but I mean U.S. or Canada or Russia.
I saw Team USA first.
Okay, because I saw Canada first, and so the U.S., they don't really look that bad to me. I can get over it.
I don't like the Team USA. I don't like the fake laces. If you're going to have laces, have real laces. Don't paint them on.
I hate that part. That is my least favorite part. And not only is it if you're going to have laces, make them real, you have to have laces. It's the Olympics. Put the lace on the jersey.
I don't like the goofy stars on the shoulders.
Yeah, that looks a little Oregon football-esque.
Yeah, the red and white stripe on the arms, fine, but they're ugly. They're just blah. And the medallion on the front, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
I don't hate it. If you were just like, if I didn't see this released and here we are.
As
February
a hockey
10th,
fan, I wouldn't drop $1 on it.
Oh, interesting. And that's what Nike cares about,
That's
really.
what they care about. I would not buy that jersey.
If you were a 15-year-old hockey fan, would you buy it?
I don't know. You know what? I haven't asked my boys what they thought.
You should ask them. Because
But then again, that's my dollar, so so no, they're not getting the jersey.
if you were your 15-year-old son, would you spend your money on it?
I'll have to pose that question to him.
Because the only reason I bring that up is because college football, they're just going crazy with the different uniforms every week. And
Right.
some of them are I like, and some of them are a little over the top, and some of them are just awful looking. But every time you mention that, oh, that's terrible, your helmet looks like a brick wall, and it's supposed to, that's awful, they say it's for recruiting.
Well, let's hope Team USA is always the visiting team because the blue jersey's better than the white jersey.
I agree with that. I agree.
I can stomach the blue, but I can't stomach the white.
Yeah, well,
It looks like a girl's jersey.
That's okay. Well, I saw Canada's jerseys first, and that's why I don't mind the U.S. ones nearly as much.
Because in Canada's just like, can we just take simplistic and blow it up on steroids?
Well, okay, here was my reaction when I first saw them. I didn't realize they were their actual jerseys, and I was like, if I was a Canadian hockey fan, I guess that's a decent, I thought it was a long sleeve T-shirt to wear to the game. I was like, okay, I mean, it's got the leaf on there. The black and red and gold one says Canada. I mean, it's a little bit different.
I like the black one.
Yeah.
I do like the black one.
So as apparel to wear in the stands, it looks great. As an actual jersey, I mean, is there going to be stitching on there?
There's nothing.
I
Again,
mean,
Nike likes to fake it.
yeah, it looks like it's all just it looks like a shirt that I made on one of those websites for $18. And that can't be what they were going for.
I would hope not.
I mean, you have Canadian roots.
I hate it.
Can you even root for your country with that sort of shirt?
I'm still a Canadian, and I'll still vote, not vote, but cheer on Team Canada.
I mean, the white one's not
The black one's the best
good or
one.
bad. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't work as a jersey. Like I said, it's fine as a T-shirt.
The Russian one, their white one's horrible.
Yeah,
The red one's okay.
I kind of like the red one.
The red one's okay. I like the gold emblem in the center of the chest. But the white one's brutal.
Well, the white one confuses me, so I'm assuming there's some sort of
Well, I don't understand the symbols that they've placed on there.
Yeah.
Looks like two dragons.
Pretty sure it's not two dragons, but okay.
I don't know what it is.
It looks, this is what it looks like.
It is it's the falcon head out of the crest, the two birds
I
going.
understand that, but they're not dragons. They're birds.
It looks like a dragon's head with an apple on the
No,
top.
see, it looks like one of those things psychologists give you, and they're like, what do you see? It's
well,
like one
I
of those-
see two dragons with apples on their head.
It looks like a Rorschach test, and I see two
And
people
see, look, and
playing
they got
hockey.
fake laces and bird wings on the shoulder.
Yeah, the fake laces, that has to go. I can't accept that. The fake lace is just,
It's such a tradition in hockey to have those laces. I love the lace look.
and I love the kind of throwback look. Like, especially the Canada one, they're clearly trying to go for a throwback look.
Yeah.
Then put laces on it. Like, either do it or don't do it.
Make it look like a jersey. How about that?
Well,
Instead of a long sleeve T-shirt that I would like to wear.
Here's the thing about the Canadian jersey. That's your problem. And I don't really mind the U.S. ones that much.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying that I'm going to enjoy the Olympics for a number of reasons, and right near the top is listening to you complain about the Canadian jerseys every time they go out there.
I don't like them.
No, you
know what they remind me of? They remind me of inline hockey.
Yeah.
They remind me of inline hockey jerseys.
Remember pro beach hockey?
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what they look
That's
like.
what they look like.
Yeah.
Not good.
Hockey played with a ball.
You're listening to the Hockey Podcast. Feel free to email comments or questions to the show at our email address, thehockeypodcast@gmail.com.
Keeping the international flavor going here. Actually, before we get to the next story, over under on how many times I put the Canadian jerseys as the background on your computer in the next 3 months?
I've never done it.
No, how many times will I do it to your computer?
Oh, to my computer. I better lock it
Yeah,
down.
you better lock it down unless
Lock
you
it down.
looking at those T-shirts all winter long.
No, they're jerseys.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jerseys.
They look like T-shirts.
Iron-on jerseys. Sergei Fedorov. Remember him?
No, but I know a tennis player that remembers them.
Why don't we have her as a guest on the show? Sergei Fedorov, 43 years old. Great NHL player when he was
Yes,
over
he
here.
was. Won the Hart.
He's now over in Russia. Part of KHL team.
Just say ska.
Just ska? Can we just go ska?
The ska.
Will people know what that means?
St. Petersburg, right?
They're not going to think we're talking about late 90s music trends?
No. Yeah, it's ska St. Petersburg.
Okay. I think it's Moscow.
What's Moscow?
I thought he was playing for Moscow.
No.
All right. Either way, Sergei Fedorov is coming back to play hockey.
Well, who is he playing for?
Current CSKA Moscow GM, Sergei Fedorov,
Yes.
is reportedly coming out of retirement to join his club as a player. This tells me a couple things.
What does it tell you?
One-
KHL's.
Well, no, why don't you say what you're going to say first? I need to become a GM because this is my chance to pursue my dream as a professional hockey player, become the GM, and then just put myself out there on the ice.
Yeah, it's pretty convenient, but I think that's how Russia runs itself.
Apparently.
He's Mr. Putin.
Well, I'm not going to ask Mr. Putin. I'd rather have Kornikova on the podcast than Putin. Although that'd be an interesting podcast if we had both of them on. Fedorov's back. He's playing professional hockey again as of this weekend.
And he's doing it because his team is got a bunch of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, this got me thinking. Bobby
Dude,
Clark.
he hasn't played since 2011, 2012.
Yeah. Bobby Clark hasn't played since, what, the early 80s, late 70s? He's an executive with the Flyers. If they keep struggling, maybe he just signs himself. I like this. I like where this is going. Let's just get crazy with it.
Nah, I don't know what he's doing, man. I mean, he might sell some tickets as a GM coming back and lacing it up. I mean, he's a household name in Russia. But come on. 43 years old. He hasn't played since 2012. He's not going to help the team. He only scored 22 points in 43 games the last time he played.
Yeah, it does seem kind of odd if the only reason is because his team has some injuries. I mean, there's other players to go out there and pick up. At 43, that's right there in the Yager. Lidstrom, when he retired. Solani has to be getting there. Ray Whitney. I mean, that's that sort of range. Guys in their early 40s. You can still play hockey in your early 40s.
Every name you've mentioned
didn't stop playing.
Didn't stop playing.
Yeah, and it's tough to stop playing when you're 27 and come back and play.
And guys like Yager train like machines.
I don't know that anybody trains like Yager.
And I mean, so to me, that's just apples and oranges. I have no idea. It might be a marketing ploy for their team to sell tickets. I have no idea. But the last time he played, his offensive output was horrible.
Maybe they could put him on the Olympic roster. That'd be interesting. Probably not.
Well, the jerseys look old enough, so maybe.
See, that's unnecessary. So that's I like having Sergei Fedorov back in the news. It makes me feel like it's 1997 again.
Oh, boy.
Underachieving teams around the National Hockey League.
Let's go to the Metropolitan Division.
Well, yeah, how about just the whole division? I get that it is early, but at the same time, we're closing in on 10% of the season. If you're really terrible right now, you might need to... It's at least worth talking about some of these teams. I'll go first.
Go.
Like how I threw it to myself first?
Sure.
New York Rangers. 1-4 at this point. They've been outscored 25-9. The only reason I bring the Rangers up, other than that record and those numbers I just gave you, is because I continue to think they're going to be very good. I mean, this is a team that last year underachieved by a lot of accounts, fired their coach, they were having internal problems, clearly a down year for them. In a down year, they still made it to the second round of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So if they get everything going, I mean, that's a team, when you have a goalie like Henrik Lundqvist and you have that talent up front, if it could ever get on the same page, that's a team that could make a push to the Stanley Cup maybe. And yet, they're getting blown out every game. They're the team that gave up the circus goal to Hurtl, and then the next night went out and responded by losing 6-0 to Anaheim.
And you picked them second.
I don't remember that. That's semantics. That was at least 3 weeks ago.
I remember because I wrote it down.
That's what you're looking for over there?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to get rid of that notebook, that's for sure.
I had them fourth.
You know what? I'll still take them second.
I don't think it's going to... I don't know, man. Okay, so...
Look at the other teams in the division.
No, let's go real quick to the western side of the continent.
Okay.
And look at Vancouver.
Yeah.
Okay, we swapped coaches, remember?
Yeah, they're kind of like the mirror image of each other.
I mean, Vancouver currently is 3-3, and the Rangers are 1-4.
Vancouver's been in every game. Look, I'm not arguing that they have not been disappointing by any means.
I don't know, man. Like you said, you tried to qualify before we got rolling. I mean, it's early. It's we're only talking 5 games into the season for the team. But man, if you had asked me at the start of the season, the Rangers, they'll start out 1-4. No way. No way.
They're not even in these games. I mean, the Coyotes controlled their whole win over them. Like I said, Anaheim destroyed them. San Jose beat them worse than Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these teams we've talked about have new coaches. Like you just said, they swapped coaches. So they're going to get better, presumably, as the season goes on. But still, I want to hit on a team here, if we can find one, where we can panic at this point for them. I know it's
Buffalo.
still early. Yeah, okay. I meant underachievers. This is about what I thought they would do this year.
Buffalo's not underachieving?
No, they are 0-5-1. I'm shocked they picked up that one. Thomas Vanek had a really nice goal the other night. It looked very Hurtl-like.
Poor Buffalo.
Well, Philadelphia, we already talked enough about them.
Mm-hmm.
How about Washington? 1-4 on the year. The thing that would worry me about Washington, and this kind of goes back to when we did the previews and I was talking about Carolina, Ovechkin's fine. He's having he's got 5 goals already.
Mm-hmm.
5 goals in 5 games, and they're still losing. That would kind of worry me as a Capitals fan because you're getting great production out of your great player and you're still not winning.
Okay, and to what I said about you and the Rangers, I had Washington third.
Well,
they got a lot of wood to chop to get to third.
They got to figure out their goaltending.
I think so.
And I guess that can transition us into the...
I think, Philadelphia's the same way. There's no excuse in New York.
No. The one thing these 3 teams have is each other because they're all in the same division.
Well, the thing of the 3 teams that we just mentioned, you're talking high offense teams.
You would think. How about this? This symbolizes it. This sums it up better than anything. New Jersey, also in the Metro Division, ahead of all 3 of those teams. New Jersey hasn't won a game yet. And they're ahead of them in the standings.
Because of overtimes. At least they're in the games.
Yeah.
They're staying in the game. When
you lose in this league, you have to be able to at least get a point out of the game, half the time if you can.
But, I've said it. You could lose every single game, not win a single game in this league, and still get 82 points.
Yeah. So take a typical team. Let's say you are going to win 35 games or whatever. Let's just say you win 35. That's not even a typical team, but let's say you win 35 games and your other, make me do math on the fly, but 47 losses, you get a point in half of them. All of a sudden you are a 90-point team and you're probably going to squeak into the playoffs.
Right.
But you've got to get to overtime.
You got to get to overtime. If you can't, You have to get to overtime, and I agree with that 100%.
The transition from Washington and underachieving, I think we go to Colorado, who has one of Washington's former goalies, and he's been lights out so far. The Colorado Avalanche 5-0, 10 points. Clearly, to me, the surprise team of the NHL early on this year, because San Jose is 5-0, but that shouldn't shock anybody. They
What
were
about
7-0.
Calgary?
That was my next team.
Oh, sorry.
Colorado, though, I mean, they're kind of doing what you and I projected they might do, and that Semyon Varlamov is good right now. He's been the best, hottest goalie early on in the season because he's got 3 goalie coaches.
Goaltending will always get you far.
And they can score, and they're fun to watch.
They're young, and they can score, and they're
18-4. Their goal differential right now. That'll work.
That'll work.
Yeah.
Any coach would take that.
Calgary, as you mentioned, they're 3-0-2. I mean, it's not amazing, but when people thought they might win 10 games all year, that is kind of amazing.
Right. And where did you have Calgary?
Like 38th out of a 30-team league. I mean, I will be the first to admit I had Calgary right down there with New Jersey and Florida.
There, I got to find my notes here.
And I'll tell you what, I still think they're going to finish down there, but I'm kind of happy to see them winning some games. I like the underdog, and Calgary is the underdog right now. And Sean Monahan, another rookie, 5 games played, 4 goals, 2 assists. This is a guy that Calgary was like, we're going to give him that 9-game tryout, and we may have to send him down to juniors.
Right.
How can you send a guy down to juniors? He's your leading goal scorer.
Well, you don't. You ride him in as long as you can.
Yeah, they're going to have to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Calgary, I think, is right there. Maybe they're even ahead of Colorado. You might be right, as an overachieving surprise team early on.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in Edmonton.
Yeah, well, I'm disappointed in Neil Yakupov.
Well, that's why he got benched.
Maybe everybody knew what they were talking about when he wasn't Rookie of the Year last year and finished 5th in voting. I'm not even sure he's still in the league. Maybe as I've said before, maybe I've just imagined the existence of Neil Yakupov.
What about Toronto?
Toronto looks good.
I didn't expect them to be 5-1.
Let me ask you this. Well, of course you did.
This early.
You're a cynical Toronto fan.
Yeah, I'm like, when's the other shoe going to drop? I'm really happy now as a Leaf fan, so then all of a sudden the shoe's going to drop and I'll be very angry.
Well, if you are Toronto and if you're Edmonton, who says no to this deal? James Reimer for Neil Yakupov. Who says no?
Nobody says no to that.
They both get better. Toronto gets Yakupov.
Who's got 0 goals right now.
Well, he's buried on the 3rd line, though, and he's already in the doghouse, it seems like. He was a healthy scratch last night.
Yeah, well, that happens when you don't score.
That's true. Edmonton gets a goalie. Everybody wins. Those of us who might have Neil Yakupov on our fantasy teams, get him in a situation where he might actually get the puck. Everybody wins.
Except for now Toronto doesn't have a backup goalie.
That's not. What do they need a backup goalie for?
Because Bernier can't play 82 games.
Well, maybe they can get Ben Scrivens back. I don't know.
He's doing okay where he's at.
I don't know why either team would say no to that trade. One other overachieving team, kind of. Never mind, they lost again. Tampa Bay has looked better this year. If Ben Bishop is healthy and he can really be their goalie, they could be worth watching, I would say. I mean, they always should be good with that offense.
Mm-hmm.
But this year they're actually winning the occasional game, so they could be somebody to look out for.
Yeah, I mean, St. Louis is doing what it's supposed to do. Phoenix, Los Angeles, they're doing what they're supposed to do.
San Jose, Chicago, for the most part.
San Jose, man, they're just going gangbuster.
Yeah, outscoring.
And they look good doing it.
No, they're embarrassing everybody they play.
Yeah, they just look good doing what they're doing.
But again, I will point to the fact that last year they did the same thing, started the year 7-0, and lost 7 straight.
24-7, goals for, goals against.
24/7 is the show I want to watch on Detroit and Toronto,
Yes.
and we are about a month and a half away.
About a month away.
I feel like my whole life is just counting down to more
24
hockey
goals
stuff.
for in 5 games.
Hurtl has 7
Of those 24.
already.
Yeah.
They haven't even gotten their typical hot starts from Patrick Marleau, and Joe Thornton's been all right. But you look at the plus-minus leaders around the NHL, the top 10, they're almost all Sharks.
Right. Absolutely.
And they have one of the most underrated goalies in the NHL, in Antti Niemi, in net. So,
Really, you think that?
I think he's just forgotten about.
Yeah, because I would never, ever think that of him. I think he's a terrific goalie.
But he's never talked about.
No, he's not. He's not talked about. He doesn't get his dues. You're right there.
I don't want to pick on Carey Price, but that's just the first name popped in my head. He's treated like he's going to be the greatest goalie in the history of the NHL.
Right. He's like a Fleury.
I'd much rather have Antti Niemi. And Carey Price is one of those guys when he's on, he can win you a game by himself, but when he's off, he just loses it by himself. Niemi's just steady.
Like Fleury.
Yes. If you say his name 3 times, he will appear, and I'm not going to be happy. Other quick notes, and if you have anything else, feel free to throw it out, but I felt like we should at least mention, finally, people of Vancouver got what they've been waiting for 3 years. Roberto Luongo against Corey Schneider in a game this week.
Dun, 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 dun.
And it's one of the few games Vancouver's won this year. So there you go.
So does he just have bragging rights now? I beat you.
I beat you. I get to stay in Vancouver while you go out. New
Jersey. New Jersey.
The other note I felt like we had to at least talk about just because it's funny and weird. UC Okanagan gets a hat trick against his former team, Carolina Hurricanes, and they are still paying part of his salary now. So they paid him money to score a hat trick against them. That's it for episode 20. Join us next week as we keep an eye on the league's top rookies and make sure no more coaches have been fired.
We'll also see if Nail Yakupov gets his first point of the season.
Where is he? Plus, whatever else happens in the next 7 days, thanks for listening to the Hockey Podcast.